Good things are starting to happen, and the format is starting to change. So I wanted to talk about some of the things I've been hearing from the grapevine for the format. So for this discussion, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more excellent content. And like I said, the format is evolving. It's been Drytron this, Drytron that, VFW, VW, Virtual Wild, everywhere. So to see shifts in what players are expecting to happen versus what has actually happened is quite interesting. Now let's dig on into this, shall we? Alright, we're going to talk about Shadal here. Recently, I didn't put much thought into this. One of my friends came back from locals and was like, yeah, I played 3 Shadal this week. I was like, oh, well, I mean, the deck's budget. There's not really a lot to say about it. Winda does some things. One of my friends gets on Discord and is having a conversation with. He said, I just played 2 Shadal at locals today. I'm like, Winda's kind of starting to do some things. I'm like, alright, I understand. And then 2 more people have remote duels, and I hear the exact same thing. Shadals. Oh, yeah, I just played 3 Shadals. I'm like, now wait a minute here. That's been a lot of Shadals that I've been hearing about. So later on in the day here, we're actually going to have my friend's Shadal list. Show some love by, of course, liking the video so you guys, at least you're pumped up for that. Alright, so later on today we'll have that Shadal list for you guys, but I've been seeing and hearing really weird things. So at this point in time, yeah, it seems like we're in a Shadal revolution. Being able to Winda through the opponent, construct, app cologne, schism to throw interruptions at your opponent, super polys to break your opponent's board. Well, yeah, evidently it's really good. Also, I mean, the deck is fairly budget, let's be honest here. 3 Shadal structure decks, you're good to go. Well, actually, you're not good to go. You're going to need some hand traps, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, alright? If you're already playing the game and you got hand traps, you have options available to you. So, there evidently has been a lot of movement towards this, and it's really weird because I hadn't seen anything like in the general metagame direction that had pushed for this. It's just more and more Shadal becoming relevant. So, Winda Turbo starting to make strides, actually, against the, well, Ben 10 metagame. Who would have guessed? So, I found that kind of interesting. Now, I want to talk about the Prank Kids revolution over here, too. So, I have said previously in my videos that Prank Kids are only ever good in formats where time exists. And that still pretty much holds to be true. When you look at things like the Luxury Games series, time isn't so much an issue because you're playing on Dueling Book, you're moving a little bit quicker. It's not really a territory for Prank Kids. Now, that being said, though, Hanko Chow recently smashed through. I covered the list yesterday for you guys. And you notice something. Evenly matched, and all these going second cards. Also, in addition to, I know I'm emphasizing the time thing, but getting that 1-2 free wins every tournament matters. Alright, it really frickin' does. So, Hanko kind of revolutionized this in a way that said, alright, we can go second, we can play all of these cards to break these boards, and we can punish these players for making these decisions and building the boards that they're doing. Alright, 1 card engine, by the way, because of meow meow. So, at this point in time, yes, Prank Kids for official events at this point in time is revolutionizing things. Alright, it shouldn't surprise you that, well, a bunch of going second cards with a consistent 1 card engine. I wonder who else did this. Alistair? Oh yeah, we've seen this same exact thing before. Alistair, the 1 card starter, plus a bunch of going second cards to help you with your strategy. Oh, we call that the Dogmatica package. Oh, well that's cool. So, how do you beat Prank Kids? Well, you can make them go first, play through their board. It's not that hard to deal with. You just have to sometimes deal with an interruption through your turn that may or may not put you into a game-losing position. But with that being said, though, Prank Kids is becoming a going second relevant deck. Number 3 on the list here is actually going to be Goku. And you've all probably just question marked me. So, Goku Suprex recently has started to get bought out. And I was like, okay, so question mark. So we got the War Rock stuff earlier on in the week. which, besides like the Earth extender, I was like, alright, so we now have another extender for Warrior. Gokis are Warrior. He sold Turbo. Yay. So at this point in time, I'm starting to see these Goki prices starting to fluctuate a little bit. And this is only after the release of the War Rocks. So at this point in time, I'm going to make the assumption that, well, 1 + 1 = somebody knows something. I know Sam in his video talked about he wanted to play Goki with this, so people could just be sheepling, towards the idea of this, or there's actually some validity to this. So at this point in time, I want to say this. We saw in the previous iteration of Goki, you would basically link spam, do some relatively cool boards. Yeah, there was a Goki list from like last format before everything died in a fire. But with that being said, that means that we can pretty much take the consistent starters here with his sold and then pretty much do and maybe not a similar board, but probably something close enough that it's going to be warranted, well, with 1 + 1 here. With the release of the War Rocks, makes Goki stuff go up. So at this point in time, I'm just saying be aware that Goki prices are starting to move. And with that being said, it only started happening after the release of the War Rocks. If anything actually comes from this, we'll have to wait and see. But the alarm did sound, and it is kind of interesting, actually. So kind of pay attention to that, and we'll go from there. Also in that same category, we're going to put Brigade here. I'm going to be talking about later on in the week the real top impactful cards out of Blazing Vortex. And for those of you that might not know, we are getting Brigade support in this set. Which means that... Oh, wait a minute. We talked about this at the beginning of Blazing coming out in the OCG when we were talking about, hey, maybe you should pick up your Brigade core at this point. Hey, kit's coming. Things kind of change for Brigade. This deck's kind of doing well in the OCG. Now, since that time has come, Brigade's taken a little bit more of a back seat in the OCG, but they are still there. The toolboxing that this deck actually can still do is very relevant. Now, we are, 2 weeks away from TCG legal Brigade. So at this point in time, I'm going to say this. Kit extends out the combos that your deck can do. Rendezvous gives your Link monsters some extra attack points. With that being said, you now have a Graveyard extender, which is 1 further dump for the Nerval, which, I mean, with 3 more essential Link makers in your deck, you're still going to be able to do some pretty cool things. So why do I need to be aware of what's going on here? This deck out of left field will grind you into the ground, alright? All of these extra advanced Link summon cards that these decks can produce are very scary. Do not be caught with your pants down in this matchup. All right, that's all I'm saying. Brigade, getting those 2 cards. Rendezvous's not even that crazy of a card. It's going to be something you're going to have to deal with. And then Kit's just going to be the extender that you're like, yep, I guess I'll lose now. So, a little bit of an interesting push in that direction. So, that being said, we'll have to see how that shapes up. That's something else that you need to be aware of. With all this being said, though, the last thing on our list here is going to be Zephyr. I've made countless videos on this Zephyr showcase, and looking at the OCG playing this deck, it's like poetry, man. Pot of Prosperity changed the entire dynamic for this deck, and by changing the entire dynamic, you got a consistency buffer. All right. Pot of Prosperity is going to do more than just change the world for Zephyr. Zephyr's just, you're putting your foot in the front door, and you're just kind of looking at things from a different perspective. Alright, I'm going to say that everything in this video, being tier 2 and above, being tier 2 and I guess below, depending on how you want to say it, definitely be aware of what these decks can do. And if you're like, I'm not worried about this, and then all of a sudden you're like, Zephyr Path plus Numer on board, what's going on here? This is ridiculous. I mean, that's your fault. Alright, so as of this point in time, the metagame is progressing at this current point in time, and we have further progression coming. So with that all being said, though, be prepared for these changes. Be prepared for Zephyr, Brigade. Is the rumor, from what I'm seeing with the price changes, directly going to be related to something Goki? I don't know. But I am here to report on the things that I see and the general interest in the game. So make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on more excellent content. And well, I will see your beautiful faces back here later on in the day for some shit all. Alright guys, peace out. Thank you, patrons, for making the ride never truly end. Without you guys' support, well, I would probably be doing Truffle Shuffle videos for a living. Guys, please check out VanCole40 for all of your Cardfight Vanguard content brought to you by MCole40. And if you are looking to pick up singles, check out mcolegames.com for your trading card game needs. Thanks for watching, everybody.